Yes, and we do have a free exchange this afternoon. Thank you for joining us at the Marcus Garvey House. I'm your host, Harry Colbert Jr., and this is the Front Room Sessions live at the Marcus Garvey House, a product of Insight News. And so, getting a little bit of the music feedback, so I'm not sure why, but
That might be
we
me.
got it squared away now, so it's all good.
Okay.
Um, and again, my name's Harry Colbert, and I am joined by filmmaker Aisha Adu. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and Aisha has a film that will be playing next Saturday, the 26th, at the
Riverview Theater.
Riverview Theater. And where's the Riverview?
It's in South Minneapolis on 38th and 42nd. It's one of the oldest theaters in Minneapolis from like the 50s. So it's pretty swanky inside and got like really old Davenports and old chairs and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay.
So
So what's the film?
the film is called Little Men. It's showing at 10 a.m., 10 a.m. sharp. We've only got like an hour window to be there. And we'll have a Q&A right after that. Little Men is a short film that I've been working on for roughly 3 years now. I took about a year to write it, a year to make it, and I've been editing it all year this year.
Okay. So, what's the synopsis?
The synopsis is two young boys find a dead body on the way to school, and one of them makes a decision that causes kind of a crisis between the two of them. It's a moral dilemma between the two of them.
Okay. Let's. You won't be able to see it, but we're gonna listen to the trailer real quick.
How was school today? You have a good day?
This life ain't all that it seems to be. There's ups and there's downs, but it all feels the same.
I shot somebody. Man, where you from? I did. You ain't shot nobody. You just a fifth grader. What is it? Jay!
We're gonna find you and your whole family down by them tracks. You got it? Here, take my baby. Have you, Lisa?
Again, that is the trailer for Little Men, and you said you wrote it about 3 years ago. Okay. So, how did this idea come to you?
Well, first I want to say the music that you hear on the track for the trailer is done by Crisis Fresh. He's a local North Minneapolis resident.
Shout
Fantastic.
out.
Yeah,
Yes,
fantastic
absolutely.
guy.
And yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because each time I play the trailer, I'm like, oh, that's kind of dope.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
He's very talented. The idea started with an acquaintance that I was originally going to be working with, where he called me one day and was like, I have some ideas for a short film. And I said, okay. So I listened, but he didn't really have any ideas. He just told me a little bit about his life in Gary, Indiana, and just growing up in the projects and how some moms were addicted to crack and some moms were not, but they were both trying to provide for their kids. It was just a constant struggle, and there was like only one place, only one way to get into the building and one way to get out of the building. It was the same door. And so I just listened to him for a little bit and didn't really have any ideas. But when I got off the phone, I thought, well, two kids find a dead body by the railroad tracks. What can I do with that? And for about 4 months, it percolated. And I see a therapist, and I was telling him about my outline for my idea. And he says, it sounds like you've got it pretty much worked out. Like, we spent the whole session just talking about the idea. And I said, okay. So I went home, and for about a week, after about a week later, I finished it. Had the whole script written out, and it was like 25 pages at the time. We initially wanted to do 5 pages, but it just grew. Like it wasn't able
It
to
took a
stay.
life of its own.
And it took a life of its own, and you have to respect the story and let it do that. And so over the course of the next 11 months, it stretched out into 41 pages. So the actual finished script is 41 pages long, and every page constitutes 1 minute of screen time, so roughly 40 minutes long.
Okay. And I want to backtrack and give you like a major shout out and on something that some members or some communities find as very normal and acceptable, but in the black community we don't as much, and we need to. Which is you backed up. You were talking about speaking with your therapist, and I truly appreciate that you were able to be open about saying, yeah, hey, I go to a therapist
Yeah.
the same way if I break my elbow, I need to go to a doctor to get that fixed.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to make sure that we have doctors looking at the entire person, and that
Yeah.
includes what's up here as
Yeah,
well.
it's the whole picture. And definitely, I have bipolar disorder, so I need to see a therapist and I need to take medication. Otherwise, I don't produce enough serotonin. So, like things like just being happy about something good is a struggle. So I need to do these things. If I don't do them, it's just like if I don't eat, it's just as effective if I don't eat.
Okay.
So
So again, I truly appreciate you being so willing to be open with that, because by you being open, it's helping somebody else to open up as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're talking about the film again, who are some of the actors that people are going to see on the 26th?
We have something like 10 really great actors. The first person is Brendan Lucas. I think he's 12 now. This was his first film.
And are they from here?
They're all from here.
Okay.
They're all from Minneapolis. They all come from more creative talent located in South Minneapolis. And the second actor is 11 now. His name is TJ Ward, also his first film. There's Maria Carter, who has performed at Penumbra Theater. There's Heidi Berg, who is an actress and is on the board of the Crane Theater. There's Toussaint Morrison, who's an Emmy winner and a web series creator, rapper, actor, model. There's Kevin Loki, who is also an actor that happens to live in my building. I have a funny story about him online if you go to the event website. He was in The Young and the Restless,
Oh, wow.
Days of Our Lives, and General Hospital back in the 80s.
There's a chance that I know him because back in the 80s I was watching Young and the Restless, low-key. Don't tell nobody.
Okay. All right, yeah. And there's also Brent Staria. There's Zealot Ham and Cortez Owens. And I think I got everybody. I might have, if I missed you, I'm sorry, but there's like 10 of you, so I have to try to remember everybody.
And so you wrote and directed.
Wrote, direct, produced, and edited.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just a one-person show.
pretty much. Yeah. But I had help producing. Like, you don't do everything by yourself.
Right.
Stacey Brudenell and Sinai Mateos and Kellen Lechin were also 3 producers that came in, and then I had like a slew of executive producers that came in too.
Got you. So I believe we have a clip as well, and I'm going to go ahead and play the clip. But before I play the clip, do you want to set it up? And again, for the viewing audience, you won't get the video, so this will just be the audio. But I believe the dialogue will speak for itself.
The dialogue is between the 2 boys, and it's about, the scene is really about setting up how their values and principles are very different from each other. And it sets off exactly what's going to happen in the entire movie. It's one of the most important scenes. And the funny thing about that scene, when we shot it, when I went to edit it, we actually lost the sound of that scene. So we had to re-record the sound with the boys in a studio and have them lip sync to it, and then I had to layer like different sound effects to make it sound like it was outside.
See, y'all just go to the show and don't know nothing about the background.
So much.
Y'all don't care how the sausage is made, you just want to eat.
Right, yes.
So here's a clip from Little Men.
How you gonna say money don't make you rich?
It don't.
What makes you rich then?
Health, family and friends, and God.
God ain't gonna put no milk and bread on the table.
Our ancestors.
What?
Ancestors. Our ancestors didn't have no money.
You mean like slaves?
Yeah, they just had faith in God. That God was gonna take care of what they needed.
Well, I ain't no slave. Money talks.
I'm trying to say faith makes you rich. not money.
Then how come money says, "In God we trust"?
I don't know.
Well, if you got money, you got God. And that's the only way I know how you're gonna put some food on the table.
You ain't got no faith.
I got faith, but I know what I see. Money buys food, money buys clothes, money pays bills. When I have money, I can feed my brother. I can do whatever I want, and that makes me happy. Even for a minute. Money is everything. Period.
Nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the film. But by the way, so it's 10 o'clock at Riverview.
10 o'clock, 10 a.m. at Riverview Theater.
Okay, and is there a cost associated?
It's between $6 to $10. You can just pay whatever you can.
Okay,
And so, yeah.
gotcha.
And there'll be concessions and stuff, and there's free parking, and it's handicap accessible, and all of that stuff.
If you can pay the 10, pay the 10. That's just kind of.
I'd appreciate it.
Yes, if you can. Once again, if you can't, obviously we understand.
I totally understand. I totally understand.
Yeah. How'd you get into filmmaking?
It's a really weird story of how I even got to Minneapolis. I am from Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And I was about 16, and I came home from school, and I needed to just veg out. So my idea was I picked up a telephone book and started looking through it. Just like we had telephone books listed with everybody's like number, and at the beginning of the book is listed the government offices and the college offices and diagrams of the different stadiums. And so I decided
You just took me back.
Right, flashback. And so I took a nap directly after that. And in my dream, I was flipping through a telephone book, and then I saw the name of this college in this telephone book, and I woke up and I was just like, it was in Minneapolis, and I was like, oh, you're just in love with Prince. So I just kind of forgot about it. And then I went to school the next day, and I opened up this huge book in our school library that has all the colleges listed across the country. And Minneapolis College of Art and Design was listed in this book. And it had a film video program for bachelors. And I decided at that moment on the spot, that's what I was going to do with the rest of my life. Because I'd been watching movies. I'd been watching Alfred Hitchcock and Stanley Kubrick films. And I loved the whole idea of like just making a film, like what it could do to you. And so I decided on the spot to do that. And I spent 2 years in college at Columbus College of Art and Design. And then I transferred to MCAD and came here. And I fucked out the first year. Like, it was hard. I didn't have the money to go to school. When I transferred here, the tuition had gone up another $3,000, and that was all the supply money that I needed. All of that was gone. And it's interesting because in February of this year, I ran into someone in November, and they were a professor, adjunct professor at MCAD, and they saw me at a pop-up that I was having, a merchandise pop-up for the film. And they wanted to talk to me, and they were like, I want you to talk to my students about your story. Mm-hmm. And so in February, I went to MCAD, and I gave a lecture to one of our classes. And it was bittersweet. It was a little traumatic walking back on campus, but it was triumphant leaving campus because all the students, there were maybe 20 students there, and they were completely moved by a very like harrowing story of the first 28 years in Minneapolis. And how I survived it, and I'm making a film, and it's coming out next year, kind of thing. So.
Well, I mean, just to say that I went to MCAD, I flunked out,
Mm-hmm.
and then many years later, I'm invited to lecture there.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful. And so you said the students were really moved by the story. Would you mind sharing a little bit of the story?
It was really hard moving to Minneapolis. It was, like I'm from a different place, and, like the first month I was there, there's a culture in Minnesota, and it's different if you're from outside of Minnesota. And my dean from MCAD pulled me aside into his office and said, you're kind of aggressive, aren't you? And to me, aggressive means assertive. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I guess so. And he goes, well, we're kind of passive-aggressive here. And basically it was the speech of, you need to chill out and play by our rules if you're going to be successful. And so I had to look up passive-aggressive when I got back to my dorm room because I had never heard the term before, and was really thrown for that. And so it was constantly like battling stuff, like being assertive and being direct, and a very non-direct society, and learning to navigate and finesse that to get the things that you needed, like even if it was something as basic as food. So it was like really learning a lot to do that.
Gotcha. And so Little Men is actually your second film, correct?
Yes.
So what was the first film?
The first film was called Cord. It was a semi-autobiographical story about my mother and I, and it's kind of framed around the story of Edward Albee's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. So it takes place all in one night. There's 4 characters, and it's really grueling and very very hard to watch. It deals with family dysfunction, and the relationship between the mother and daughter is really just toxic. So.
Gotcha. So, and if I'm correct, you said Little Men was a finalist or for a screen?
Yeah, Little Men last year I had 3 different privileges. The first privilege was it got a Remmy Award, a Platinum Remmy Award at the International World Fest Houston Film Festival. So the script got that, and then the script also placed quarterfinalists in the Atlanta Film Festival Screenplay Competition, and then we placed quarterfinalists in the Screencraft Film Fund Competition, where we almost got like $30,000 to make our film. Like, we needed additional money on top of the grant that I got from the Minnesota State Arts Board.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. So once again, you are tuned into the front room sessions from the Marcus Garvey House, and we'd like to come to you as much as we can, bringing you news and views from around our community. We're talking to Aisha Adu, and she is the writer, producer, director of Little Men. It's a short that'll be playing not tomorrow, Saturday, but Saturday the 26th at the Riverview Theater in South Minneapolis at 10 a.m., followed by a panel discussion afterwards. So I once again want to just thank you for coming through. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate this.
Yeah, this is a wonderful conversation just to get more insights into you, into filmmaking, things that. What would be some of your advice for someone who wants to get into filmmaking?
Be prepared to hear no a lot, and be prepared to be let down, and be prepared to be strong in that, and stay focused on your goal anyway, because some of the closest people may let you down are some of the people that seem like they're happy for you, because you're doing something as big as film. Film is like this gigantic thing, and it's magical, and people want to be kind of immortalized, so they want to be like in front of the camera, behind the camera. They want to be doing something revolving around filmmaking, but not everybody's happy for you, and so you need to be strong anyway and do it anyway, and you also need to have a voice and listen to that voice.
Gotcha. We thank you so much for coming and speaking with us about your film.
Thank you.
I'm very excited. I got to see the trailer. You guys got to hear the trailer and hear us sing. So hopefully that intrigues you enough to come out on Saturday the 26th to the Riverview and check out this movie from a Minneapolis, Twin Cities filmmaker with a cast that is from this area as well. And hopefully you'll be able to see them on the screen in many more endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
By the way, the music that you're listening to is Liz Gray. It's called Free Exchange. Liz is a graduate of the University of Minnesota, and she's currently performing in Omaha, Nebraska.